Hi. It's time to be brutally honest. You already know this, I think. I'm far from the best astrophotographer, but I used to be much, much worse. Let's dive into some of my worst astro images that were taken when I first started out. Welcome to Deep Sky Detail. So why am I making this video? On YouTube and social media in general, people only show their best selves. It's unrealistic. It sets super high expectations and can make people feel inadequate. Most of the photos I'm about to show you are bad. Very bad. I want people to know that life is complicated, learning is hard, but improvement is possible. If you're just starting out in astrophotography, take heart. Know that you're probably already doing much better than I did when I started out. And if you're not, the community is here to help. We're all going through a weird thing called life, and it doesn't always help to be inundated with curated perfection, especially when things aren't perfect. Let's begin. Okay, the first image of the batch is arguably the best of the bunch. Ironically, it's the first astro photo I ever took. And I debated whether to include this in the list. It's a picture of Andromeda, taken back in 2016. I don't even think GIMP could process 16-bit images yet, which is what I used after stacking in Deep Sky Stacker. The image is pretty noisy. It's kind of actually a miracle that I got this image at all. I was camping and it was my first time polar aligning. I was sitting there in the dark after it rained at like 12 a.m. watching YouTube videos on how to polar align a scope. Fun times. It was taken using a Canon T4i and my Orion 80 ED. I didn't have an intervalometer, so I set the exposure time manually and lightly touched the screen to start an exposure. I think I got maybe an hour or less of data before the battery ran out. It really was magical seeing the image on the screen though. Andromeda is so bright that the image right off the sensor is already amazing. If you're just starting out, I highly recommend imaging bright targets first, like Andromeda and Orion. When you're down, always image the bright stuff. That's been my motto for as long as I can remember. Truly it has. So that was not that bad of an image. I promised really bad pictures. I'm a man of my word. This is supposed to be the Heart Nebula. I took it when visiting my parents who live in Bortle 6 skies. It's also one of my first objects that I imaged. My camera was frankly inadequate. It's an unmodded T4i is what I used, so it couldn't really get enough signal. Up until then, I really only focused on brighter objects, like the Orion Nebula and Andromeda. There is just a ton of walking noise here. See how the noise seems to form a pattern going up and down the image? That's from not dithering each subframe as I was guiding. Dither around and you'll be happier. That's always been my life's motto after all. Next is this picture. Can you tell what it is? Well, me neither. It's apparently supposed to be the Cone Nebula. I think I was living in a Bortle 9 sky at the time. I had been doing astrophotography for about 6 months or so. I had a visual astronomy light pollution filter and I was like, I bet I could take an image of the Cone Nebula with this. Boy, was I wrong. It turned out horrible. The filter made this weird halo in the image that the flats couldn't compensate for. The signal was just too weak compared to all the light pollution, and the camera was not sensitive to the hydrogen emission lines. So sometimes you just have to pick your targets based on the situation you're in. There's nothing wrong with that. When you can't image the one you want, image the one you're with. That's always been my life's one true motto. Alright, the next fail. This is Messier 15. And boy, is it out of focus. I don't know what I was thinking. This was taken a couple months after I imaged the Cone Nebula in 2017. I should have learned by then that a batten-off mask is a lifesaver. I knew they existed. I had just been using the 10x zoom on my T4i's touchscreen to focus on a bright star. After this, I think I cut out a batten-off mask out of an old plastic jar lid that was just the right size to fit over my scope. That helped a ton with the following images that I took. Focus, and you'll get good focus. That's been my life's motto for as long as I can remember. Here's the last one. This one isn't too bad either. It's a picture of Messier 96 and some other galaxies. I feel like I was starting to get the hang of this astrophotography stuff, so I decided to combine several nights of imaging together. It was taken around the same time as the out of focus Messier 15 picture. You can see that I cropped it quite aggressively, and it's still a bit noisy. And I probably needed to dither a bit more. But did I mention it's cropped? Well, this is why. Here's the stacked image. Yeah, I got the framing wrong on different nights. Because of this problem, I decided to incorporate plate solving into my imaging, as well as check the rotation angle of my camera when imaging the same target over multiple nights. Angle to get good pics. That's my one model I've lived by my entire life. Astrophotography can be challenging. It is hard, especially starting out. There is so much to learn, and it can seem like everyone else does so much better than you. There will most likely be a lot of failure, and that's okay. And it's okay for two reasons. The first reason, failure helps us learn. Think about a computational neural network. It cannot, quote, learn without making like a zillion mistakes. They're programmed to fail, and fail, and fail, until suddenly they start to get things right. I'm pretty sure that you will get a good astrophoto with fewer mistakes than a neural network makes. The second reason, we are taking pictures of things that are incomprehensibly far away. Somehow, in our neck of the universe, a bunch of carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen atoms got together and were like, I bet we can make a neuron. And those neurons started connecting. And now we as humans have around 70 to 100 billion neurons in between our ears. And those neurons each have thousands of connections. The little piece of the universe in between your ears is trying to understand bigger pieces of the universe, millions of miles away. And that's just great. Thanks for watching.